Welcome traders to this video on the ZoneTrader Pro preview of a new ZoneTrader Pro order flow indicator and the review of yesterday's trading on December 16th, 2018. I wanted to go over yesterday's trading because the market has returned to somewhat to normal and go over a few of these trades with the new indicator. Basically, with the return to somewhat normalcy, we've seen a return of the liquidity giving us more confidence in our patterns. The question I get asked frequently is, how does the system work on the volatile days? And the system works approximately the same as far as percentages go. However, what you have to realize is that in order to be able to trade this, you're going to have to use a larger stop than you normally would, making for accepting a higher risk in those trades. It's probably best to put the mouse down and go do something else for the day, like go to the beach. So anyway, let's start looking at some of these trades from yesterday and what the new indicator is going to be telling us. We start out with a counter trend trade here that is going to take us into a strong trend reversal and then into a very profitable exhaustion long trade. And another question I frequently get asked is, how do I know which of the order flow signals to take? That question is very simple, because what I do is I rely on the pricing patterns here in order to tell me if I should be risking my money in order to take a particular trade. Another question that gets asked is, well, what if I have a pattern develop in order flow, say in this area right here? What do I do? Do I ignore it? What do I do? Normally when I enter a trade with a profit target, and that's just my trading plan. If I see a order flow pattern develop to the opposite side, what I do is tighten my stop, and basically I have a no risk trade at that point. If the trade is filled, that's fine. If the market comes back to take me out again, that's fine. I've moved my stop. I don't have any risk in the trade. Either take a profit, but definitely not take a loss at that point. So leading into that counter trend trade, we see exactly what we want to see when we are entering into a short trade. Basically back here we see a combination of signals giving us an excellent reason to get short. We see an exhaustion, a POC extension, absorption, along with a ZTP order flow sell. At the eventual high, we see an exhaustion with a ZTP order flow, and again a second exhaustion, and on the third try up we see the sellers coming in and forming additional extension zones. And here's a look at what the new indicator is, and right off the bat it doesn't really look like anything all that new. It is a cumulative delta that makes it very easy to spot divergences, as we can see that we had up here at the time of our sell, and down here we are tracking the bar delta. Now, what makes this cumulative delta special is that what we are looking at is data that has been filtered for trade size. So again, you would say, well, I can do that. All I got to do is go to the data series and put in a size filter here of 6. And you would be correct that yes, you can do it. However, you would be wrong in thinking that you got the correct answer. And let me explain why. Here I have a time and sales window, and as you can see, we had several trades go off here at 11:13 and 45 seconds. And we see somebody here sold 14 lots, 1 lot, 2 lots, a 23 lot, a 1, a 2, and a 1. And what you don't know is, was this all one big trader trying to sell 50 lots, or was this really somebody just selling 23? Well, the way that NinjaTrader works is that it breaks up if somebody was selling 50 contracts, it breaks those 50 contracts up into these smaller lot sizes of what the buyer accepted on this end. So that's what gives us inaccurate data. Does it accurately reflect the number of contracts being bought and sold? Yes, it does. But it doesn't accurately reflect the large traders that we want to follow. So if a even larger order of say 250 went off, but it was only taken by somebody that had no more than 5 lots or less, well, you're not going to see that 250 lot. What my programmer has done is he's created programming that goes back in and it reconstructs the tape based upon the exact time of these trades. And based upon that tape reconstruction, that is what sets apart my indicator from anything else out there that you could put up on a chart. Basically, you want to know these where the large traders are trading at for a couple of reasons. First, you obviously want to be trading with them. But second, you also want to know when there's been a stop run. And I'm going to show you a couple examples of that on today's chart. So here in that first trade example, we see a huge divergence from when the market had started to climb here and reaching an eventual high here where we see multiple ZTP order flow sells. Anytime we go from a blue zone to a blue zone, that creates a strong trend reversal trade at the minor zone, which is what we saw here at 1031. At 1031 on rising price, we see the cumulative delta again falling or just basically going sideways, and that's not what you want to see when you are long in this trade from back here, and it is what you want to see if you intend to take a short trade from here. The market down here then kicked off probably the best trade of the day at this exhaustion. An exhaustion trade is formed anytime we have this reversal from minor right here, and that is a reversal pattern. So basically off of that reversal pattern, we're looking to at least get to the other blue zone as we did here. However, the market was strong and continued trading even higher. On the 5 range chart, we see what that looks like. Back here at the first low, we see that we received an exhaustion, followed by a bar with extremely high volume as indicated by the black circle here. And as the market came back down to test that low, we see that we formed multiple order flow buy signals of a POC extension and exhaustion pattern here. At that counter trend zone, we now see a rising cumulative delta, which is always a good sign. At the low that we had back here, we see this spike of the delta past the reference line of 300 contracts, giving us a good idea that there may have been stops hit and a possible reversal here. Next, we trade into a strong trend long, which is again good for 6 or 7 points. At that low there, at the minor zone, we see basically every order flow signal that we would like to see. We have a ZTP order flow buy, we have a POC absorption extension, and we have an exhaustion pattern all combined onto one bar. What the cumulative delta is telling us is also interesting. Here's where we have the ZTP order flow buy, and we see that we have significant selling taking us down until we get our buying on the second test right here. And what's interesting is what you're seeing here is you're seeing a large buyer doing the absorption that you see in the ZTP order flow. If you see the cumulative delta with a severely sloping line, but price is not reacting to that line and is in fact going up, then what you are seeing on the cumulative delta is what the order flow pattern here is telling you, that there is a large buyer doing the absorption, and that is what the POC absorption trade basically is. After that, we form a strong trend trade followed by another exhaustion short, and that's what it looks like on this bar right here. It's also interesting to note that back here at this price level, giving us support, we again, on the way up, we had the POC order flow, absorption, extension, and exhaustion all going on back here at a price of 27.90.50, which is exactly where the market came down to test and exactly where the ZoneTrader Pro buy signal and pattern were given. And once again, on what the cumulative delta is telling us is basically that there was absorption, but the selling was not taking us any lower once we got to this point. And then of course we follow that up with a ZTP order flow buy. After the exhaustion trade, we have a failed trend trade here, and I point that out because that's one of the rules that I have for my personal trading, is that I classify anything that follows an exhaustion trade as high risk, and I'm not looking to take it. But what I am looking to do is, after we have this adverse excursion here, I'm looking to take this reversal pattern here. From the reversal pattern, we trade into a counter trend long, trade up another 5 points, and then trade into another extremely profitable long trend trade. If you were looking for a reason to buy the counter trend trade at 11.53, we've got plenty of order flow signals down here. The first is the ZTP order flow, followed by the exhaustion and the absorption, followed by a second exhaustion where we are forming extension patterns, and we also see a stopping ratio down here, all giving you great indications that you could be getting into this trade. At the high here, we see a POC absorption along with the ZTP order flow, and then we also see two excellent sell signals of the exhaustion signal along with extension zones being created again at 95.75, taking us down into the long trend trade. At the long trend trade, we again see we had low volume coming into that trend trade, and low volume is an indicator of the buyers temporarily stepping away and letting the sellers take it down so that they can trap them and get a better price. And that's basically what we see here. We see a trap seller signal along with a POC extension, delta buy, another absorption, extension, along with an exhaustion. And at that short signal, what we're looking at here is a very good divergence pattern, especially as it got and tried to test the third time over here. We again see this spike at the high at 12.08, indicating that we may have had a stop run done there, and again giving us a good reason to get short from there. At the low, where we have the long trade that's going to go for about 12 or 13 points, we again see the ZTP order flow and the exhaustion. That trade creates a strong trend and giving us a strong trend long signal here at the minor support. And at minor support, we again see a very interesting set of signals: the ZTP order flow, trap sellers, POC absorption, and the delta buy signal. One of the questions I frequently get asked is, how do I know that I shouldn't be taking this signal from back here a couple bars back? And here's what that looks like on the bigger pattern. And the answer is, there really isn't a way to know for sure. And what you're doing by taking a trade here is you need 3 or 4 ticks to confirm the order flow pattern. What you're doing is you are basically jumping the pattern, which says we need to have a good retracement back to the minor support level where we did find the support at. So if you did take a trade from here, basically what you're doing is you are accepting additional risk, and you're maybe getting a little greedy or just trying to jump the trade before the pattern is fully developed. Here we see another couple of extremely good trades with this exhaustion short trade here and this reversal long trade going into the end of the day. The exhaustion trade is forming over here to the right of the chart, and basically we also want to look to the left of the chart for support to get into this trade, because what we're seeing is as price traded at 07.75 to 06.50, the sellers are stepping in big time and creating multiple upon multiple extension zones in this area. And here we see extension zones being created 3 deep. Finally, as we trade into the exhaustion trade, we have an exhaustion signal here, and we have a black delta strength bubble indicating that we have extremely high volume on this bar, along with an extremely high number of negative 814. And on the smaller time frame chart, we see that we additionally have divergence at that point, along with multiple ZTP order flow and exhaustion sell signals. And in looking at this chart, it's just really important to note that just because you see a signal on a chart doesn't mean that it's a signal that we're going to be taking. Basically what we're doing is we are waiting until we have both a pattern on the price patterns chart, we have order flow on this chart and on the 5 range chart to confirm that trade before we want to execute a trade. That way we're minimizing all of our risk and we have everything going for us. Did we make money if we traded here and got long? Yes, we did. However, and then we sold here, we bought back here. This is not the pattern that we want to get into, where we're just scalping for 2 or 3 ticks. What we want to get into is we want to get into a pattern where we sell it here and we look to make 5 points off of the trade. The last thing that we want to look at is we want to look at this reversal long trade. The reversal long trade is made because we have a short trend trade here that failed and we had adverse excursion. We traded into the intermediate support, which is where we expect to take that trade from. On the 5 range chart, we again see multiple extension zones being created. We have an exhaustion buy along with the ZTP order flow. And then we again see the absorption in the cumulative delta at the low, with very light selling for the 3 minutes preceding the trade, followed by a very high delta kicking off that trade, but after we've already gotten into it. And we see that we did have a ZTP order flow buy signal here. And all in all, that was a pretty good day, and very glad to see some of the liquidity returning to the market and some of the craziness going away. What's important to note here is if all you wanted to do was get long today, you missed some excellent short trade opportunities, even though the market was up over 500 Dow points on the day. You did, of course, get excellent long trade opportunities. If you ignored the signals given to you from the short trade and only stayed long, you gave up a significant amount of profit on that end. I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, be sure to give me a call. The new indicator should probably be rolling out in about a week, and I strongly suggest, if you hadn't already done so, go to the ZoneTraderPro blog, and up in the upper right hand corner, make sure you subscribe to the blog so that you are notified when indicators have been updated or new videos have been posted. Thanks again, and have a good day.